Hi there. Let's get started with XRP first. Remember, this video we only talk about short-term trends. These are education content only, not financial advice. This is the Ripple's chart. For Ripple, the support is 1.27. That's the short-term support if we look across the board since end of February. But that's not where the big players committed. So the range was actually somewhere near down to 1.2. Okay, at one point, it was as low as 1.12. So that's why we've got this short-term trend tracking Ripple's latest actions. If Ripple is able to defend the 1.27, okay, and trades above that yellow dash line, this gap over here, this triangle over here, that's somewhere around the 8th of June, meaning about a week from now. Ripple has a chance to break outside of this downtrend and come back up to first challenge the 1.3 and eventually 1.35. So this is the short-term level. This is the key level, right? And then eventually, if the bulls manage to find sufficient good news to push up, then the previous uptrend support becomes resistance until the 1.54 key level. What's about Polkadot then? So Polkadot, when we look at this, we can see that it is also bouncing off from the ceiling of the downtrend, very similar to Ripple. And the previous projection was somewhere when we get close to 5th of June, we'll see this happen. And it happens across the board, so it takes the chance and not wait till the 5th. So the next support level is 1.11. Okay, that's the level set by February 6th. Remember those two key days, February 5th and 6th, with massive candlestick and way higher than average volume. Okay, so here, if Polkadot is able to defend it, given the low volume today, with the crazy looking candlestick compared to the past week, it's probably going to scare away some people. If the bulls are able to defend this 1.11, all right, similar time frame, but there's also one more, the 5th of June. So it can climb back up to this upper triangle as well. There are two triangles over here. So that's when Polkadot may bounce, okay? Break outside the downtrend and bounce up to challenge the previous levels. The very first one would be 1.23. Okay, you see the resistance and bounces along this line since even late March. Okay, not to mention the early days in mid-late February. Right? How about the downside? If it continues, okay, if it breaks even 1.11, there's no reference in the near term. Okay, then we have to go back to the tariff announcement date. That's 0.097. Okay, for the case of Polkadot. Ripple, that was way lower. Okay, below 0.86. So you can consider 0.77. If the whales were to push the price down to the tariff announcement level. The third one, Chainlink. So how does it look like for Chainlink? Here, there are a couple of dates of projecting the 3rd of June, meaning there's only a day or two left, and then the 6th of June here. So currently it is trying to break below the medium-term uptrend support, the medium-term that started early February. Okay, it tried a couple of times to draw late March, the past 2 days. It seems like it is trying to really break below this line, and if it does and closes below that line for like a day or two more, it is going to come to challenge this triangle. Okay, and there are two C's decisions to make, right? Either continuation with the short-term downtrend or a change, breaking outside of the downtrend and re-challenge the uptrend support now turns resistance once it breaks below this medium-term uptrend, right? This February price is already lower than the October 10th tariff announcement date. So the next it will challenge is definitely the key level of $8. So this green line over here, okay? Okay, right there. And what about next? Next, if we look at February 6th, that's roughly 7.2. Okay, this level. So it's still a bit far, but we're going to track it along this downtrend. How about sweet? So sweet, currently just breaking through the 0.88 blue key level. Where we have projected June 5th and June 7th. When we get closer to those dates, we have that 2C's decision to come again. Continuation with the downtrend, breaking all these supports, or a change of the downtrend turning sideways at least, if not, going V-shape, right? Some people always think breaking outside of the downtrend means the V-shape up, not necessarily. So looking at these, okay, it's going sideways, breaking out, sideways before going up. So there are different ways it can happen, but when it trades towards this triangle, finding support from this short-term support line at around 83 cents, that's the line provided support around end March to early April, as well as late Feb. If it is really coming to test the February 6th low, that's somewhere close to the light blue key level of 0.75. Tariff announcement date didn't really go this low, okay? It was way up, somewhere around here, yeah? So for the sweet, case of sweet is a little bit different from the previous couple of projects. Then we have AAVE. So AAVE, okay, the projected date around June 2nd, we have this decision coming, and indeed it is happening right now. And so what's the next date? The next date is more key because currently it is breaking below the key level of $81, the green key level over here. But the next one is this orange line. That's the medium-term downtrend that started end of January, beginning of February. So from a very sharp downtrend, it turned into a less sharp or less steep downtrend. And it is now going to retest that support. Okay, there wasn't many times that line was tested. It was early April, early Feb. Now in early June, interestingly, 2 months apart, it is approaching this line again. And by June 9th, you see this wedge over here. It looks like a descending wedge in the candlestick pattern analysis. And according to the textbook, not that I'm buying 100% to those patterns, because there are always exceptions. So it should break outside of the wedge, right? And then it should go up. That's a bullish sign according to the textbook definition of descending wedge. So let's see whether that's the case this time and whether it is going to break outside, be rebounding from the orange line, breaking this short-term downtrend, and continue going up to challenge the 81 again, and then eventually the center line. Interestingly, there's still time for it to climb back to 93 before the center line of the downtrend comes below the 93 key level. And there's PYTH, and after PYTH, I just want to cover one more, even though it has popped and moved already. So PYTH, it is already touching the ceiling. For 2 days, it has been rejected from the ceiling of the downtrend that started mid-May, right? It is approaching this triangle, and the tip show us is somewhere around the 7th of June, so later this week. And the support currently, the short-term support, is 0.036. This line provided support or was tested at the end of March after the February 6th. The tariff announcement date went to just somewhere near the red key level of 0.043. So the current levels are already lower than the tariff announcement date. Remember what I said before. For young coins, similar to PYTH, there's not much precedence for us to gauge how far it can go. So be cautious that this current line that indicated the all-time low for PYTH may not hold, and the downtrend may continue if things get worse, while we hope for a rebound when it hits that particular line. So the last one I want to cover is Toncoin. We talked about this in the Wyckoff session, and this over here, we plotted the chart saying when we get closer to the beginning of June, there is a chance for it to find support at around 1.75 and bounce outside of the downtrend. And today it made a massive move. Okay, that's like around 20%. And how to look at this, given it has broken outside of the downtrend? Just quickly into the weekly view. You can go back to my original Altcoin video. We talked about this, that it is going through the sign of strength period. If the price, the volume doesn't get any higher, okay, look at these wicks. The bears were hitting very hard once the price got over the yellow key level of 2.017. So even though it is now coming back to challenge the green key level of 2.345, the chances it may get rejected once more. Look at the volume here compared to the volume here. All right. And this volume bar over here, even though it's higher than average, half of it is selling from above 2.017. Okay, so be careful while you ride this wave. It's very attractive to see something, all of a sudden popping 20% when everything else seems to be dropping. Okay, ICP is another example. It's rising 8% now. And we can see this uptrend support after it broke outside of this sideways, or initially we're tracking whether it is going through a downtrend. So currently it's above 2.8 with a decent volume, just that the resistance is around 3.1. Okay, that's the line extending from as early as the October 10th tariff announcement date. So it may go higher, but again, the downtrend resistance is about to reach the 3.45. Okay? That's the very long-term downtrend that started February last year. Okay? Not this year. So let's see when we come back to the ICP session, the weekly session with Wyckoff analysis, we'll get into it with more details. Okay, thanks. And remember, being a channel member, you get 24 hours earlier access to these videos. So join the other channel members now, and you can find my weekly write-up on Substack. See you in the next video. Thank you.